Education over the Mardi Gras. So that's a good thing. That's a good thing. So that means don't get up now and leave if you forgot about Mardi Gras. Mardi Gras will be here until Sunday, so you have time to get there. But welcome to you. It is going to be a wonderful night, curriculum night, wondering and looking at what our students are capable of doing and encouraging them as they move forward. I would like to introduce a couple of people that have joined us this afternoon. We have representatives. Well, first of all, let me back up. I need to introduce my boss, one of my bosses, Mr. Kenneth Lofton, board member and secretary. Then we have Representative Joe Desatel here. We have Councilwoman, Ms. Tiffany Hamilton. Any other representatives here? Or okay, great. Once again, we're happy to have you here. We're just happy that PAIG had a thought and an idea, and we're just happy they brought it to us. And they have really worked hard, along with Mrs. Beatty, who took it over with her counselors, and they worked and they talked and they worked and they talked, and now we have something wonderful to share with you. So I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Mitchell, and he'll move us forward in the program.
Good evening. Most appreciatively, and thank you, Superintendent, for those kind words. As we move through our curriculum night this evening, we want to welcome all of our parents, staff members, board members, friends, guests, and most importantly, we want to thank our friends from Port Arthur Industrial Group for their zealousness in working with us to make this a very, very prosperous evening. We're certainly appreciative of the work that you've done with us, and we are here to thank you. Our occasion, as we are looking through the Port Arthur Industrial Group and sharing with ideas in reference to curriculum this evening, is all of the secondary schools have assembled in this assembly to make a connection between the Port Arthur Industrial Group's efforts as well as the efforts of our curriculum. Because of a new term that has been rapidly becoming a part of our school environment, House Bill 5. House Bill 5 is the incorporation of your ninth graders, our 10th graders this year, who have moved away from a 4x4 plan and are moving into a foundations plan. You'll learn more about those terms from our counselors as they're going to come and describe to us all of the components of House Bill 5 and just exactly what that means. But enjoy the evening. We are certainly appreciative of your coming out with us this evening. We thank all of the administrative team, all of my administrative colleagues from the middle school, the high school, and our 8th grade campuses. We're certainly appreciative of having you with us this evening. So without further ado, if our counselors would come forth now and begin to share with us the ideas behind House Bill 5. Ms. Danielle Senegal.
Good afternoon. As Dr. Mitchell shared, I'm going to do a brief overview of the House Bill 5 programs that are going to come into play.
Ella va a hablar de una ley que se llama el House Bill 5. Okay. Is this going to bother you?
The program that you picked up at the front door as you came in, if you turn to the very last page, we're going to get it up on the screen, but you also have it in your handout.
count the number of workers in your community and the other communities across Texas. They're also counting number of workers in different industries, number of workers in different occupations, number of workers at different educational attainment levels, and also number of workers at different wage levels. Is my microphone on now? I'll tell you what, I'll stick with this. So I'm going to talk to you for very briefly. I'm going to show you a few pieces of information about career paths. Now, I know that there are really only two kinds of people in Texas. There are left-brain Texans and there are right-brain Texans. Some of you like data and statistics. Some of you like human trends. I'm going to try to satisfy both kinds of Texans here today. I hope everybody got a copy of the handout. If not, Mackenzie can help us with getting some more handouts out, but otherwise, we'll be cool. I'm going to quickly race through this. My key point here for the entire evening is to get young people to expand their minds about different kinds of job opportunities. Now, the nerds and I count there are 821 different occupations in the state of Texas. That means there are 821 different career paths that we can all go down. The older you get, the more you learn about different kinds of jobs. And the older you get, the more you think about different things that you want to do in life. I was fascinated in December when we had the first major national study of what people under the age of 10 wanted to do when they grew up. These were some of the main answers that came up, starting with professional athlete, not a growth occupation in Texas or in America. Secondly, physician or doctor. The third answer was fascinating. The third answer is, I really, really, really don't know. Which is what most of us adults actually have to say when we approach different turns in our career paths. I was fascinated by answer number 12. Number 12 answer was a dinosaur. It is not possible in Texas to grow up to be a dinosaur. That's why it's terribly important for people to think about, as they get older, realistic career paths. I'm going to quickly show you this. Is this in your handout? I hope so. The nerds and I have some special nerds who are manning a hotline for high school students. High school students contact us every day, and they've got questions about what are different careers I can do in my community. And they're asking us about what's the educational requirement for some of those kinds of jobs, and also what are some of the pay that I can expect for different kinds of jobs. These are the top 37 occupations last year for all the high school students who contacted us. And I want you to pay attention to the diamonds. The diamonds on this list are occupations that high school students are interested in that are also high growth occupations. Now, I want to point out professional athlete. Again, I can't stress it enough, not a growth occupation. Jerry Jones has only so many jobs that he's willing to offer, and he's not willing to offer any more. It's not a growth occupation. Nevertheless, we've got a lot of high school students in Texas who really want to become professional athletes. I know it can pay a lot. There's not a lot of jobs. I'll give you some quick data about it. 2 years ago, Sports Illustrated did some reports. I hope there's no football coaches in this room. Good. 2 years ago, Sports Illustrated did a study of professional football players and basketball players. For every 10,000 boys who play football in high school in America, 9 of them will get to go to an NFL training camp. 3 of them will make a team for 1 month. 1 of them will make a team for 1 season. For every 10,000 high school boys who play football. For every 10,000 high school boys who play high school basketball, 3 of them will make it to a summer league, an NBA summer league tryout. 1 of them will make a team. And Sports Illustrated also pointed out that for all of those elite number 1s, within 5 years of turning pro, 3 out of 4 of them are financially bankrupt. And they have to move back home with mom in the town they grew up in, bankrupt, with no college degree, with no marketable skills. That's why it's a key issue as to what do you want to do and what are the different decisions you want to make about your career. We're hoping you will think about occupations in your community that there are a lot of opportunities in. And you've got a lot of career opportunities in Southeast Texas. Okay, racing forward. I'm going to skip the boring stuff, okay? Don't tell the governor that I skipped the boring economics. Okay? Okay, what page are we on the handout at this point? What page? Somebody help, Mackenzie, help. What page are you on? 2. I hope you put a star next to this. The nerds and I have this spider software. It goes out onto the internet every night. It looks at all of the help wanted online job postings. And what we do is I filter that on a 90-day basis. So as of a few nights ago, I pulled all the help wanted online job postings for the state of Texas. And over the next 2 slides, you're looking at the most in-demand occupations. So the left column, we've got occupations. The second column is independent job openings. The third column is change for that 90-day period compared with that same 90-day period 1 year earlier. And the fourth column is minimum education or training required typically to apply for that job in Texas. I want you to look for the 3 magic words on this list. The 3 magic words are manager, supervisor, degree. Do you see any of the magic words on this list of the occupations most in demand in Texas right now? Manager, supervisor, degree. Yes, you do. They're on that list, and the demand for those 3 magic words has been going up in Texas for the last 5 years, especially in your community. We're going to get to your community in just a second. If we look at all the help wanted online job postings, these are the skills, the specific skills most in demand. What page are we on now in the handout? 4, excellent. When I look through the help wanted online job postings, the single most common word that comes up is the word Excel, as in Excel spreadsheets. The single most in-demand skill in the state of Texas is understanding Excel spreadsheets. The single most in-demand skill in the state of Texas to find a job or keep a job, the single most in-demand skill is understanding Excel spreadsheets. It's required for all white-collar and pink-collar jobs, now most blue-collar jobs, as well as green-collar and gold-collar jobs. If you take nothing else from this evening from me, please keep that in mind. I hope that you are using Excel every day and getting better and better at using Excel in order to find a job or keep a job in Texas. Okay, what page are we on now in the handout? Man, I'm hoping you're going to put 2 stars next to this slide. I'm hoping you're going to put 2 stars next to this slide. This is page 5. My assistant says this is page 5. Again, the nerds and I have the software. We're going out looking at the help wanted online job postings for this community, for the 3-county community here. These are the 83 most in-demand jobs right now. Right now. I'm only giving you fresh new job postings for your community. And I want you to look through these 5 slides in your handout. I want you to look for the 3 magic words: manager, supervisor, degree. Do you see those words? I'm going to tell you that you do. This is your marketplace in action. This is what your employers are announcing to the world that they want. Please take a look at this. Please expand your mind a little bit, because there are plenty of jobs in this community. And this community is very similar to other communities across Texas and America as well. We want you to expand your mind beyond just thinking about being a professional athlete or a dinosaur, okay? We don't know why the demand is up so much in this community for bartenders and hairdressers. We don't know what is going on in the Port Arthur area. Why your demand for bartenders and hairdressers is up more than any other community in this state. The nerds want to know. Perhaps we can have this conversation afterwards at the booth that I'm going to be at. If anybody has their theories on this, my nerds are very interested in finding out what's going on in this community. Okay, racing forward. For giggles, I decided to also pull the first website that posted these job postings in the last 90 days. Fresh new job postings in the last 90 days. I would like for you to scan through this list. This is your economy right now. This is who wants workers. This is your economy right now. What page are we on in the handout at this point? Man, I'm hoping you're going to put 2 stars next to this. Man, I'm hoping that some of the career counselors in this room have gone to a lot of these websites. I'm hoping that the career counselors in this room have forced the children in this school to go to these websites and read through some of the job postings, what the local companies say they want. I'm hoping some of these career counselors have forced the kids to do this so the kids have a good understanding as to what kinds of skills are in demand. Okay, quick pop quiz. I hope everybody's been paying attention. Every 4 years, the Charles Schwab investment firm and the Boys and Girls Clubs of America go into high schools all over America, especially Texas, to ask 2 critical questions. American teenager, how much money do you expect to be making when you're age 22 and starting out fresh in your career? And the second, more important question is, American teenager, how much money do you think you're going to be making when you're very old and very established in your career? I mean really, really old. I mean really old, like 40. How much money do you think you're going to be making? Does anybody want to guess what the answer is to number 1? Does anybody want to guess what the average... I do not want to hear anything from any teenagers. Teenagers, do me and yourself a favor, do not speak up about this. Teenagers, write down what your guess is. Do not show it to your parents and your teachers. Adults, does anybody want to guess what the average American teenager said they'd be making at age 22? Does anybody have a bid? $75,000. When I was 22, I was making $15,000. Is there somebody more normal than these poor career counselors over here on to my left? Is there anybody more rational than these career counselors? You guys have had your turn to bid. Any other adults? 52. 52. That's pretty good. Almost all teenagers in Texas make $7.25 an hour. Why they think that in 5 years they're going to be making $35 an hour, we don't know. We don't know. We have no idea why boys think they're going to make so much more money than girls. Does anybody have an idea what the average American teenager thinks they're going to be making at age 40 when they're barely able to walk? Any adults have any bids? $100,000. Please, please. Very irrational. So this section is irrational. This section is also irrational. I'm looking for the normal people over here. Any bids from the normal folks? What? Okay, all right. We've got 3 irrational sections here. No, the average American teenager says they're going to be making this. Why they think that at age 40 they're going to be making $70 an hour, we do not know. And why boys think they're going to make so much more money than girls, we do not know. There is no exact data as to how much people make in Texas at different age points. So I go back and forth with the nerds at the U.S. Department of Labor, and we've come to this agreement. In general, a 22-year-old in the state of Texas makes about $22,000 a year. And that's normal and that's reality. In general, a 40-year-old in the state of Texas makes around $41,000, $42,000 a year. And that's reality. I am showing you this, parents, not to make fun of teenagers. Although I love to make fun of teenagers. It's like fish in a barrel. Fish in a barrel. I love making fun of the teenagers on my blog. I love it. This is not a factor of being a teenager. This is a factor of being a human being. All human beings misoverestimate their economic futures, which is why it is so important to make realistic understandings of how the world works and what you might want to do at the different turns in your career path over your lifetime. Okay, I was asked, what are some of the jobs of the future? What page are we on the handout at this point? Do not put a star next to this. Do not put a star next to this. These are 20 occupations that we are seeing in demand in Texas that did not even exist 5 years ago. Demand for these occupations continues to go up. You do not have to have a college degree for the most part for these jobs. You do have to have very specific skills, but these jobs didn't even exist 5 years ago. Yet demand continues to go up for them as our economy continues to evolve. I'm seeing some confused looks on a few faces of both rational and irrational parents here. Do you have any questions, parents? Any questions about any of these growth occupations? So be it, so be it. I normally get questions about a cyborg anthropologist. Cyborg anthropologist started out as somebody who studied how human beings interact with these devices. Literally how this is changing the behavior of human beings. Now researchers in San Antonio and Switzerland are taking microchips, essentially microchips similar to what are in cell phones, and inserting them into the brains of human volunteers. So that in the future, we will have special glasses, and you will click into the microchip embedded in your brain in order to get onto the internet. 24 hours a day, you will be able to get your emails and your Facebook posts and your Twitter feeds. 24 hours a day, your boss will be able to email you with new requests. 24 hours a day, you never have to be offline. It's going to be an amazing world we're going to be able to live in soon. It's going to be an amazing world thanks to the cyborg anthropologist. Okay, racing forward, I'm going to quickly cover this topic. I hope this is not in your handout. Please tell me this is not in your handout. Do not tell the governor I talked about this. When I'm out there talking to company presidents and vice presidents of human resources, this continues to be one of the key issues that they bring up with me. One of the great challenges for Texas employers is that we now have 4 generations of workers all in the same workplace, and they are rotten at talking to one another at work. Just rotten at talking to one another at work, and I'll explain some of the issues here. We have 5 generations of adults in American society. The greatest generation, they're ages 85 and older. They're not working in Texas anymore. The next generation is the silent generation. They're between the ages of 68 and 84. They still account for about 1/2% of the workers in Texas. Next generation is the baby boom generation, the ginormous baby boom generation. They're accounting for about 30% of the workers now in Texas. They're between the ages of 52 and 67 years old. Next generation is my generation, Generation X. I'm 48 years old. Our generation is between the ages of 36 and 51. We now account for about 37% of the workers in Texas. Only state in America where my tiny generation dominates the workforce. Only state in America, very unique workforce in Texas. The 5th adult generation in America is the Millennial Generation between the ages of 21 and 35. By far the biggest generation in Texas, much bigger than the baby boom generation. Also the generation with the highest unemployment rate in Texas. Also the generation where we have an issue of a lost generation, where tens of thousands of people in Texas in their 20s have not gotten their first job in order to learn the basic soft skills that you learn on the job with your first job. A lost generation where tens of thousands of them have not gotten their second job in order to move forward on their career earnings. This is a major issue in Texas, the threat of a lost generation who are not going to move forward in their careers. And this is an acute problem as we now deal with Generation Z, the kids who are in high school now. We don't want them to fall into the same path that the millennials fell into. Which is why we're going to talk about a few more skills and soft skills in particular that are in demand in the Texas workforce. Okay, I hope this is in your handout. The nerds and I, when we look at all the people who are working in the state of Texas, we work with the Census Bureau, we divide them up based on educational attainment. I'll quickly go through this, then we're going to get into the soft skills, then I'll let you out. This first column here, these are people, basically what we're doing is we're measuring how much you tend to earn based on how far you got in school. People here on the left, they had nothing more than an 8th grade education. They tend to make in Texas somewhere between $13,000 and $27,000. And they're going to make that for most of the rest of their lives. Next group is people who did not complete high school. Again, they're making somewhere between about $13,000 and $29,000 a year. They're going to be making that for the rest of their lives. Then we got people who get the high school diploma. I can't stress this enough. The high school diploma is the foundation of moving forward in your career. I get yelled at by employers when they get job applicants, people who have a GED or do not have a high school diploma. The high school diploma is the basic project that you complete in American society. If you cannot complete a high school diploma, It sends a signal to the marketplace that you cannot complete any long-term projects, which is why this is the group that has the hardest time getting jobs and getting new jobs, is people without a high school diploma. If you take a second message from what I'm saying today, I can't stress this enough. You can't move forward in our society without the high school diploma. I really pray that you finish your high school diploma. I really pray that you do. Moving forward, some college, that tends to get you a little bit more in earnings, but I really want to stress the next one, which is the associate's degree. The diamonds here are indicating quartiles here. What's important here is that in the current Texas economy, we have a lot of people with just an associate's degree who are making more money than most of us with a master's degree. What you study matters. What you study matters. What you choose to go into matters. The choices you make in your career set you up for more success down the road. This is an unusual situation in our economy, and this is what we're looking at in the Texas economy. If you take a third point away from what I'm talking about today, I hope you put 3 stars next to this slide. An underlying principle in the Texas economy is the more math you take, the more money you make. And it is that simple. When I was in high school, I was not good at math. I didn't take calculus till I was 27 years old. I didn't take statistics 1 until I was 28 years old. I didn't take my second statistics class till I was 29 years old. I didn't take my third statistics class till I was 43. And every single time, I barely got through those classes. I needed to hire a tutor. I needed extra help from my classmates, or the professor, or even a departmental secretary. But I got that. And if a knucklehead like me can get through applied math, then anybody can. Especially if you live in a community that has a community college. I cannot stress this enough, no matter your age, the more math you take, the more money you make in Texas. All right, racing forward, if you take away a fourth key point, understand that employers are looking for more technical skills, special skills. What are you good at that most other people are not good at? Everybody is good at something. I was doing my little presentation several years ago for the Houston Independent School District teachers and superintendents. And afterwards, this woman runs up to me and she explains, I'm a career counselor. I want to tell you about the toughest student I ever had to get into a job. This young man had autism. And I said, lady, how do you define autism? Is it somebody who can't pick up on social cues? Because most of us men in Texas can't pick up on social cues. And she said, no, this young man was on the spectrum and he was way over. I could get him into a lot of job interviews, but within 5 minutes, those job interviews were ended, as the recruiter or the hiring manager got frustrated trying to listen to this young man explain what he wanted. This high school counselor continued working with this young man 2 years after high school to continue to try to help him. And every time she worked with him once a week for 2 years after high school, she kept remembering that he was mentioning how he was going to be eating pizza that day, how much he liked pizza. Well, one night, she's walking out of a Houston movie theater with her husband, and they're walking to their car past a CC's Pizza. And she sees an old man put a help wanted sign in the window. So she goes in and asks him, what's the job? And he says, it's the easiest job in America to fill, because everybody loves pizza. I will have this job filled in 30 minutes. It's a simple back kitchen assembly job. You come in the morning, you assemble the dough, the meats, the sauces, the vegetables. I will have this job filled in 30 minutes because everybody loves pizza, but in 3 months I will get the phone call. Hello, boss. I quit. The smell of pizza is driving me insane. I'm sorry, I'm never coming in again. Goodbye. And he says that is so frustrating. Well, this counselor convinces him to try out the 20-year-old autistic young man. That young man has been in this job for 4.5 years. Everybody is good at something. Everybody is good at something. That is why it is imperative for everybody, whether you're a counselor, a parent, or a job seeker, or a student, to ask yourself in life the 3 magic questions. What do I like to do in this world? What am I good at doing in this world? And how can I add value in this economy? Everybody is good at something. It is up to you to help find what you are good at, what you like to do, and how you can add value in this economy. Okay. I hope all these counselors are forcing you to try out our reality check online tool. This is an online game. You go in there, you decide where in Texas you might want to live, you decide what kind of lifestyle you want to have, whether you want to live in a studio apartment or in a house. You decide what kind of car or bicycle you want to commute to work in. You also choose an occupation, and it gives you what that occupation tends to pay, as well as the cost of the local education for that occupation. You go in, it's an online game, you make 22 decisions. It's a game that we created for high school students to help them understand if they've got champagne tastes on a Budweiser budget. We designed this game to have 100,000 hits a month. We get more than 1.6 million hits a month, most of whom are adults, not high school students. Adults who seem to want to take a different path in their career path. Adults who are trying to explore their next passion in life. It takes the average high school student 14 minutes to make the 22 decisions in the game their first time. It takes the average adult 21 minutes to make these decisions. Why it takes adults so much longer to make career decisions in a game, we don't know. We don't know why adults have so much emotional baggage wrapped up in their careers. We don't know. By the way, the second time a high school student plays it takes them 2 minutes. The second time an adult plays it takes them 4 minutes to play the game. Still, high school students are thinking at a faster rate than the adults. But I certainly hope that you try out this game. At night, our servers are overloaded during the daytime with too many adults who seem to want to do something different in their lives. Okay, I'm going to wrap up by talking about these 4 key skills. When we listen to employers, these tend to be the surface level answers they say is what they want. Good communication skills, critical thinking, can you think logically and not emotionally? If presented with a sequence of events, can you make a logical and not an emotional conclusion as to what will happen next? Some technical knowledge. I don't know if you've heard, but the #1 skill in demand in Texas is understanding the Excel spreadsheet. Have you heard that? Have you heard that from a guy about this tall, exceedingly handsome? Very, very important. And being positive on the job and being positive in interacting with your coworkers. #5 is new and unique only in the last 4 years. Employers are seeing there's a lot more diversity in the Texas workforce. Do you have any experience at working with people who look different than you, particularly people who are much older or much younger than you? When Mick asks more in-depth questions, we get a range of answers from companies as to what they're looking for. It starts out with what we're calling the workplace basic skills. Can you communicate? For heaven's sakes, can you show up to work on time? Can you just show up to work on time? And during the 1-hour staff meeting, can you put away your cell phone? People over 30. Can you just put away your cell phone for the 1-hour staff meeting? People over 30. Can you just put away your cell phone for 1 hour at work? People over 30. Texas employers are complaining about adults who can't seem to put these devices away. Adults, can you please learn from the teenagers about how to be subtle? Please, adults, please. I want to stress soft skills, which we call workplace basics. I got to interview Senior Vice President of Human Resources at Boeing. Rick is from a very, very poor rural family in West Texas. He's from rural Maverick County. His family was so poor and so rural from West Texas that the big thing for him to do in high school was to drive 60 miles into the big city of Eagle Pass, because that was the closest city that had it. And for his family, that was the big thing to do. Rick grew up from a life of poverty and became Senior Vice President of Human Resources at one of the largest companies on the face of the planet. But he stresses that he's one of those people who hires people for hard skills and fires every day for soft skills. And I said, Rick, every day? He said, Mick, every day. He's going into work on Saturdays and Sundays to fire people for failing at the two big soft skills that he identifies. Do you take responsibility for the projects you're working on? And do you talk to your coworkers? And he insists he's fired more people who have degrees from Harvard than anybody else on the planet because of failing at soft skills. I'm going to bring this up and wrap up because we just completed a year-long study. We surveyed more than 1,000 hiring managers across the state of Texas, and we got them to identify what are the soft skills, the workplace essential soft skills they care the most about. We lumped them into this menu and said, okay, for each of the different occupations you hire for, what soft skills do you care the most about? You do not have to be good at everything. You absolutely, in America, to find a job or keep a job, you don't have to be good at everything. But for many occupations, there are some key workplace essential soft skills that are more important, that you have to be able to talk about in the job interview, that you have to be able to demonstrate at work. I chose, these are the big four. These are by far and away the big four workplace essential soft skills in demand right now by hiring managers in the state of Texas. But I broke it out here in your handout by 10 key occupations, if you want to get really specific. These are 10 occupations that we have a lot of people working at now and are also growth occupations in Texas. Just to think about, if any of you students want to think about going down any of these 10 career paths. But I did want to, I'm racing forward because the superintendent's giving me the evil eye. He wants me to move this along. I want you to know that we work with the Texas Education Agency to understand your different career pathways or your career clusters. Again, ninth graders, you're going to have to pick one of these paths and take some classes that are applicable to one of these paths in order to graduate. So there's 16 career clusters. What I did was I took a look at all the occupations in each of the different 16 career clusters that high school students have to think about. And I sorted them by the most in-demand workplace essential soft skills. Whether we're talking about business administration, government, marketing and sales, finance, transportation and logistics, agriculture and food, which includes restaurants, I believe, architecture and construction, education and training. The education and training was really interesting. These first three were the big three, and then there was another drop off to the next three. And this is what hiring managers who are looking for teachers and people in the education field are looking for the most in Texas. Same with STEM. STEM is nothing more than the engineering jobs and science research jobs. Hospitality and tourism, our largest industry of employment in the state of Texas, as well as human services, the healthcare business, audio, visual, and communications, manufacturing, information technology, police, and that's that. I'm going to wrap up by pointing out that it's also important to have an understanding of some learned skills. The marketplace is giving us mixed feedback as to how much education do you have to have for different jobs in Texas. I can't tell you that more education is great. More education costs money. You have to make a decision as to how much education you want for the kinds of occupations you want to go after at the different turning points in your career. Also, we have the issue of the ability to distill information. Parents, please cover your ears. Students, a dirty secret we adults don't like to tell you is that you actually don't learn how to do a job by reading the employee manual when you get to the new job. You actually learn how to do the job by watching and listening to your coworkers, which is why it's so important to be able to listen and observe and filter all that information. That's the only way that people really get ahead in the economy. It's terribly important. And the fourth key component of finding a job or keeping a job is willpower. Are you willing to go to where the jobs are? Are you willing to find a job that may pay a little bit less than you were expecting? I was doing this presentation in Dallas a few years ago, and this woman comes up to me afterwards to explain that. She said, you know the biggest problem we have in Texas is you people at the state labor department, you're not creating enough jobs. My son is 27 years old. He's got a bachelor's degree from Texas A&M University. He can't find a job. He's at home living with me. And I said, ma'am, we're the state labor department. We don't create the jobs. The companies do. But where are you going with this? She said, you gotta start creating more jobs. I said, well, what's it like having your adult son living with you, ma'am? And she said, oh, it's not that bad. It's not like we're mother and son. It's more like we're best friends. Every Tuesday night, we watch Dancing with the Stars and The Bachelor. My son is very good at picking the winners on The Bachelor who are going to get married. Every Wednesday night, we go to dinner and a movie together. And his two best friends from high school are down the street living with their mothers doing the exact same thing. Now, you people have got to start creating more jobs so my son can get a job. And I said, well, ma'am, you know, a key issue here in Dallas is, what did your son get his degree in? And I leaned in to listen for the 3 problem P majors, philosophy, political science, or psychology. She said, my son went to Texas A&M University. He got a hydrology degree. And I said, hydrology? It's one of the most in-demand degrees we have in Texas. If he just drive about 250 miles over to Beaumont, he could probably get a job by the end of the day. If he drive about 300 miles over to Corpus Christi, he could probably get a job by lunchtime. If he drive about 400 miles over to Laredo, he could probably get a job by brunch. If he just drive 200 miles over to Midland, Odessa, he could probably get a job by the end of breakfast time. Oh, he doesn't want to go that far. And she stormed away. And I thought, oh, lady, if you just get your little Aggie out there into the workforce and stop coddling him, it would be better off for all of us. But some people can't seem to make the adjustments in their career or in their lives to finding a job. Other people can, and I will wrap it up with this final quick story. I get to interview a lot of executives in this state. My favorite person to interview of all time was a woman named Andrea. Andrea is deaf. Andrea is an orphan, and Andrea is a single mother. And this is very important. For those of us over the age of 40, we kind of bought in that the world was a career ladder, that we were going to work in one industry or one job for most of our life. That's never been true in the history of America. Instead, the world is a career lattice. Each of these yellow dots represents a job that you have on a career lattice. Unless your daddy owns the company, all of us start out at the bottom at entry-level jobs. And we have to be a little bit creative and navigate our way up the career lattice, taking some lateral moves or moving to different industries or different companies or different occupations. And along the way, in America, everybody gets fired. In America, everybody gets fired or laid off at least once. And it's okay. It's okay. It will happen to you. It's up to you, though, to find a new path along the career matrix, along this career lattice. Try a new occupation, try a new industry, try some new schooling, try something new to keep moving up to the higher paying or more fulfilling jobs in your lifetime. I stress this because Andrea is somebody who got no help in her life, yet she was able to make some headway along her career lattice. Andrea went to a community college after she graduated from high school, and she got an associate's degree in computer networking. And 1 week after she graduated with her associate's degree in computer networking, she applied for jobs with 100 employers. All 100 employers emailed her back to say, yes, we are very interested in you. To which Andrea emailed them back to say, I am deaf. Here's the toll-free phone number for the Texas School for the Deaf. They need to know the street address and time of my interview. They will send a free deaf interpreter for my interview. None of those 100 employers responded back to her. As a single mother, Andrea needed to get a job close to her daughter's school. So Andrea went to her daughter's elementary school, got out on the sidewalk and did concentric circles through that town, going door to door to try to find a job. And with her brand new associate's degree in computer networking, Andrea landed a job as a dishwasher. And she did that for a while. Eventually, she landed a job as an office clerk, and she did that for a while. Then she moved up and she became a secretarial assistant, and she did that for a while. Eventually, she became a career counselor for students with disabilities. I'm going to wrap up. And the reason I'm telling you that story is because orphans in America have the smallest professional networks. With any job you have, you've got to do two things. You've got to build your marketable skills and expand your professional network of friends, family, coworkers, and former bosses. Orphans have the smallest professional networks. But in that story, if you can understand that Andrea, who is a real person, that if a deaf, single mother, orphan, can find a job and create a career path for herself in this world, then anybody can. Anybody can. Hope you'll hold on to the handouts. I want to thank the superintendent for having me. You've been very patient with me. I appreciate the time, and I'll be hanging out afterwards if you want to talk. Thank you.